everybody! So today I'm doing my 23andMe video as promised on Facebook if you follow me. If you don't follow me, my blog on Facebook, my blog page is under Courtney Lloyd. So just a little bit of basics about what 23andMe does. So you send in your sample and your sample is spit. So you spit in this tube and then you snap a chemical on top of it that preserves it, and then you send it in and then they run it through this really cool high-tech hybrid chip in it that basically can read your DNA, and then it spits out all the little pieces of you. And in case you need a refresher in high school genetics, you have 46 chromosomes which break up into 23 pairs. 23 are from your, well, yeah, so wow. So it's 23 pairs that makes up 46 total chromosomes. Maybe I need a refresher too. So 23 are from your mother and 23 are from your father. And within each of those chromosomes are little tiny pieces of genetic material, and there's 4 different kinds that you can have, and one is A, one is T, G, and C. So those are the 4 kind of things you can have in your DNA, and they are put together in what normally would look like just some random order, but they're put together in a special way that makes who you are. So basically that is what 23andMe does for you. They go through and they look at all this raw genetic material and they say, well, this marker here, this specific gene, codes for this, and they can tell you fun things like that. But they can also, by looking at databases and other scientific data on genetics, tell you where certain markers come from. And when I say that, I mean what ethnicity you are. It also helps to understand how human migration worked throughout time. And largely it started in Africa, moved into the Middle East, from there into Europe and the Asias, and then into the Pacific Islands, across the Bering Strait into the Americas, and down into South America. So that's how you get this spread of peoples, basically, throughout the earth that we have now. So the populations, the broad populations that they actually test for are European, South Asian, Sub-Saharan African, East Asian and Native American, Middle Eastern and North African, and Oceanian. And then it also breaks it down into other subcategories, but I'm only going to talk about the ones that I had just because they test 31 total populations, or they test for those populations in a sample. And I have lots of 0%, as you will see shortly. I'm a large majority of one thing, and so yeah, I didn't have a large spread of anything, which I was kind of like, I want to have a lot, but at the same time, my results were surprising, but also kind of fulfilling, so I can't really complain. I mean, I am what I am and I can't change it. So anyway, I'm just going to jump right into what my results were. So obviously, by looking at me, you can tell that I'm a large amount of European descent. I have a large amount of European descent. And so I'm 99.1% European. And then that breaks down into 97.2% Northern European, Northwestern European. And so that's British and Irish, French and German, Scandinavian, Finnish. And then there's also a broadly Northwestern European category. Genetic markers that they know belong to regions of Northwest Europe, but cannot specifically say where it's from. So yeah, so I'm 97.2% Northwestern European, and to get very specific, I am 71.1% British and Irish, which I'm so excited about. I could not be more thrilled. I was actually very surprised by this because up until recently, we thought that on my biological father's side that there was a lot of German. just very German, and the last name was Vaughn, V-A-U-G-H-A-N, and that just sounds German. And I guess I'm kind of upset with myself because the researcher in me did not go look it up, but neither here nor there. I looked it up afterwards and found out that Vaughan, Vaughan, is actually a Welsh last name. And up until very recently, we had information that led us to believe that we thought I was at least 50% German, and that just was not the case. I am 71.1% British and Irish. And to back up even further, I think when I was like in the 8th grade, which was like, oh wow, here we go. So 8 years ago, wow. Oh, that's sad. Okay, so 8 years ago when I was in the 8th grade, I was looking up my ancestry for, what was it for? Oh, I was trying to see if I had Civil War or Revolutionary ancestors. And I did, actually, and I was able to trace them back. The easiest thing to trace back was through my mom's side on her dad's side, so my maternal grandfather. I traced his lineage back all the way to 1500s England, in this little tiny town called Lindsay in Suffolk, England. And it's just the quaintest little town, and so just for a little bit of reference, his last name is Farthing. So I traced the Farthing lineage all the way back to 1500s England. And so that's where that side of my family is from. And then I'm assuming since Vaughan was a Welsh last name that I also have some Welsh ancestry. But wherever I came from, a lot of it was British and Irish. I don't know how much is British and how much is Irish. I know that my mother's mom, so my maternal grandma, that she is largely Irish, and that she also has a little bit of English. So there's no telling what the mix is, but 71.1%, that is a pretty fair amount. A proper amount of British and Irish. I did have a little bit of German. I was 8.7% British. No, stop. I was 8.7% French and German. And then 0.8% Scandinavian, which surprised me. I was not expecting that at all. And then one thing that I was really shocked about that I didn't have more of was Native American, which my mom and her sister have darker skin than I do, and they have dark hair, and clearly I didn't get any of that. I'm very pale, I have freckles, I burn in the sun, they tan. Yeah, so I really just wasn't expecting any East Asian, but it's very, very, very small. And I'm assuming that probably has something to do with the Native American that was also found in there, which I was hoping would be a little bit more, but I'm not disappointed because, like I said, I really feel at home with the 71.1% British and Irish. Another thing that I was very surprised about, we knew that we had African Americans in the family. We just didn't know how much and how far back. But it must have been fairly far back and not very much, because I did have 0.7% sub-Saharan African, and it was basically all the 0.7% was West African, which is the Nigeria area and countries surrounding that. So did have a little bit of that, but clearly not a whole lot of it. But yeah, that was kind of interesting. 0.1% Middle Eastern and North African, but that was the same case as the Native American East Indian. It was less than 0.1% for each, and it could not break it down individually. So I did have 0.8 Southern European, but it was all broadly Southern European. So those are places like Italy, the Iberian Peninsula, the Balkan Peninsula, I'm pretty sure that's a peninsula, correct me if I'm wrong, and Sardinian. So I didn't have any of that, which I really wasn't expecting a whole lot of that. Like I said, obviously a lot of it was European. I just was not really I was not expecting the amounts that I got for certain things. I was definitely expecting more German, was pleasantly surprised with more British and Irish. So another thing that they test for are Neanderthal, and yes, it is pronounced Neanderthal, variants. And I don't know how they test for them. I don't know if they're certain markers or if they're just totally different than human DNA sequences. I just don't know. That I would not be able to tell you anything about. However, they do test for how many you have. Okay, well, I can't find where I found how many known variants there are. If I remember correctly, there were well over 300 variants known, but there could be way more than that. The highest number of Neanderthal variants that they have found in a customer in 23andMe is 387 variants, and I had 309 variants, which is a lot, and apparently that is more variants than 91% of most 23andMe customers. So basically that means that I'm a Neanderthal. No, I'm just kidding. It just means that compared to most other people, I have a lot of Neanderthal variants still in my DNA. And that is almost like an ethnicity marker, because where they found the Neanderthal population first was in the Neander Valley, which is in the Germany area of Europe. So that was very interesting to find out that I had that many. I honestly didn't even know that they tested for those, which was a really cool thing to find out that they did. Also test for 41 carrier statuses, and I had 0 variants for any 41, or all 41 I guess I should say. So I was good there. And then they also give you a few wellness reports, like what you're likely to have. Like an example, you're likely to be lactose intolerant. Well, I'm not likely. So, and it tells you that based on your DNA. So even if somebody said you're lactose intolerant, but your DNA says otherwise, then they can tell you that. That's pretty much it for my Ancestry reports. If you want another video about how 23andMe works and how their website works and how to order it and get 23andMe, leave some comments down below and I'll record another video just explaining to you more about the company and what they do with your data and what you can do with your data. So yeah, British and Irish right here. It's official, you can kiss me, I'm Irish, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I can brag about that on St. Patrick's Day. But anyway, so yeah, I will see you guys later. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and please give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great holiday season, and yeah, see you in the next video.